guys, welcome back to another delicious video from Gigi Cooks. Today we're going to make another simple recipe that you can do in your very own kitchen. But before we get started, let me just disclaim that I am not a trained chef. I didn't go to culinary school, but I cook pretty good. And I love food and I love to cook. So I just wanted to share with you some of my simple meal ideas. And you know I don't like a spectator. Come cook with me. First thing I want to start with is getting the ingredients together. I always try to get my ingredients together at the beginning of a meal. That way you're not searching for stuff and burning things in the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with our liquids. The only liquid we really have today is milk, and that is because we are making mashed potatoes. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you what we were making. Today's meal is going to be fried pork chops, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Simple. So then we have butter. It also goes in the milk. In the potatoes. Butter in the milk. That's hilarious. Alright. Pepper, kosher salt. Those are all part of the potatoes. And I've got some garlic powder and seasoning salt, which are going to go on the pork chops. I've got some Tony Satcheries, which are going to go on the green beans, but you can season those any way you want. And then we have the green beans. I usually use fresh green beans, but we're out, so I always have a backup can. You can always drain the juice off, rinse them off, and fix them how you want. So no shame in your game if you have to go to the pantry and get a can of green beans. Then we've got our potatoes for our mashed potatoes, flour to dip the pork chops in, and then the meat. Either some pretty hearty pork chops. Use whatever pork chop you want, boneless, bone-in, skinless. Oh wait, no, that's chicken. Anyway. Alright, we got all our ingredients and we're ready to get cooking. My all-time first step is wash your hands. So we're going to go ahead and get my hands washed. Now that that's all set, also keep a dish rag. That keeps things clean as we go. The first thing I'm going to do is get the potatoes rinsed off. Remember, I always like to rinse my vegetables. Even if you think they are clean, just go ahead and give them a good rinse. Next, I'm just going to bring the potatoes right from the sink over to my cutting board. And I'm going to just cut these in cubes or quarters. We're going to be boiling these for mashed potatoes, so really shape and size doesn't matter. But I do like to cut them down because they boil faster when they're not so chunky. Alright, now that we've got our potatoes cut, they're ready to go into the water. And we're going to turn that on so it can start to boil. I don't like to boil the water first and then drop the potatoes because, as you can see, potatoes make a splash. I don't want to be burned. Also, if you don't like skin on your potatoes, I would suggest peeling them before you cut them. But we love some skin on potatoes around here, so I like to keep it on. And I find that the skin has most of the nutrients on vegetables and fruit, so it can't hurt. Next, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to the water just to help the potatoes boil. Now, I can eyeball the potatoes and tell when they're done, but if you're new to cooking, you can stick a fork in them and see if they're soft in the middle. Stick a fork in them. I like what you did there. Alright, once your potatoes are done, then we'll move to the mixing process. But for now, we'll let these boil about 20 to 25 minutes. Again, make sure you check them. I would suggest for mashed potatoes, you don't let them get too mushy, because then when you get ready to mix, they're going to just be soup. So I like to check them, take them out just before they're too soft, and then you're ready to go.
Quick note about the boil time: make sure that the water has started boiling before you start the timer. Otherwise, your potatoes won't be done in the 20 to 25 minutes.
Alright, now we're ready to get our pork chops going. I already have them down in the sink so I can give them a quick rinse and then a pat dry. And then we'll go ahead and season those up. Alright, my pork chop seasonings are going to be real simple. Some Lowry seasoning salt, some garlic powder, and some black pepper. So you can go with whatever your favorites are. These are kind of my go-to seasonings for chicken and pork as well. So I just want to sprinkle that. Alright, then we're going to flip these over and do the other side. I like to make sure the pork chops are covered so that everything is seasoned throughout each bite. Alright, from here we are going to put our pork chops into a bag of flour. You can use a bowl, you can use a plate, you can use whatever your little heart desires. You can go all the way old school and get you some paper sacks. But I like the Ziploc method, so I've already got a bag of flour prepared. Some people also like to add seasoning to their flour if you want to jazz it up a little bit more and have your crust of your pork chop be a little bit more seasoned. But this is good enough, so I'm just going to drop each pork chop in here. They're so big, I'm only going to do one. Sometimes when I have smaller pork chops, I can put more than one in here at a time. Close my lid down and just give it a little shake and make sure it's fully covered. Now from here, the pork chops are going to go into the deep fryer. Now I'm using our deep fryer because it's awesome. It just makes things so much easier. But to be honest, you could fry these in a skillet, in a pot. You could even put them in the oven if you're against frying with grease. But we're going to use the deep fryer. The deep fryer has been preheated to about 360, 365-ish degrees. You want to make sure your grease is nice and hot before you drop these pork chops. That way you get the right crisp and the right color. Alright, now I know my fryer is hot enough and has reached the temperature because it's been on a while. But if you're not sure if your grease is hot, just take a little bit of flour, drop it down into the grease, and you see those hot bubbles? This grease is ready to go. Alright, our pork chops are ready to come out. They're nice and golden brown. And because of how thick these were, these took about 15 to 20 minutes. You can gauge it depending on the thickness of your pork chop. So our potatoes are done. I stuck the pork in them and they're pretty soft. So I'm going to head and pour the water off. Now the water is hot, so you want to be careful about the splashing. Also, fun fact, if you turn your coriander, whatever that word is, I don't know. Turn this thing upside down and pour it that way. It's better than trying to pour the potatoes into there with all the splashing. So I'll just turn this one more time just to make sure all our water is off. Alright, and then we're going to head over to our mixing bowl to mix up our mashed potatoes. Okay, I've got my potatoes in the bowl, and by the way, I did about 6 small potatoes, and this yielded about that much. So that's a good amount of mashed potatoes. You can do more or little depending on your family. Now we're ready to mix in our ingredients. That's going to be our butter, milk, salt, and pepper. So first I'm just going to take 2 good spoons of butter. You can call them heaping spoons if you want. Again, this is a no measurement channel. We just cook. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the milk. I'm using a lactose-free milk because we're a little bit lactose intolerant in this house, but you can use whatever milk you like. And I like to start off with just a little bit of milk because you can always add more milk later if you want more creaminess, but you can't take the milk out, obviously. So next we're going to add our salt, and salt and pepper is always going to be to taste. So you guys add as much or as little as you would like. Add in a little bit of pepper. Alright, now I'm ready to mix this up and kind of mash the potatoes. We don't want to mix it up like soup, so I don't want to let it go too long or too fast. Also, I'm just in love with this mixer, but you can do this with a hand mixer. You can mash them with the masher, any way you want, but I'm going to use my big mixer. So in love. Alright, so ready to take those off the mixer. I gave them a good stir. I like to leave a little bit of chunkiness in our potato, like bits of potato, with the creamy mashed potato. But you can mash them more if you want them more mashed. They may look a little soupy to you from the butter, but we're going to cover these and let these stand, and they will thicken up when they stand. So now I'm ready to go ahead and get these green beans going. They will be really quick. They don't take but a few minutes. I really need to invest in an electric mixer, y'all. Alright, now I'm going to pour these right into my coriander. It sounds so fancy. And I'm going to give them a quick little rinse. Alright, now these are ready to go over to our skillet. We're going to go ahead and drop some olive oil down in our skillet to get it a little bit hot, and then add the green beans. Now I'm going to sprinkle my Tony Chachere's. Again, everything is always seasoned to taste. Alright, we're going to go ahead and give these a stir. And we're going to let these cook for literally about 5 minutes, guys. These are simple green beans. That is all I'm going to do to them is season them, let them cook for 5 minutes, and they're going to be ready to go. Alright, now we're at my favorite time. It's time to plate. So, we're going to start off with the pork chop. Nothing fancy about this, guys. I'm just going to put a little bit of potatoes and a little bit of green beans. Whoops, 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 slide. A little bit of sliding. Sliding. Alright, y'all. Look how obnoxious this knife is that I'm using, but it gets the job done, y'all. And it's rainbow. Hello. Alright, now let's get into this pork chop. Alright, this mug, it's a thick pork chop. My fork, look how far down my fork is. That is crazy. Nice and white in the inside. You know it's done. Got a nice crisp on the outside. Now let's do the best part. Let's taste it. Nothing like a fried pork chop. Let's dig into those potatoes and the green beans. Perfect. It's absolutely delicious. Alright, y'all, we're done. Wasn't that simple? Now, you can change these recipes any way you want. If you want your potatoes thicker, you can use less milk or butter. These are just really easy recipes to do during the week or even on the weekend. And if you've done these recipes before a different way, please leave them down below. If you want to see me do a video on one of a recipe that you created, I would love to do that. Leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another delicious recipe. Now I'm about to go tear this food up. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.